What's up, guys? I'm Sarah Weaver. Today is True Crime Tuesday, so welcome back. I am going to be telling you guys a story about a little sibling rivalry mixed with the 1930s Great Depression era. So if you like that kind of story, and if you like true crime, if you like makeup, stick around. Hit the subscribe button below, hit the like button, comment, all the things, and I'm back here every Tuesday with a new video for you guys. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so today I'm going to be starting with my eye makeup first. We're going to be trying a colorful look, okay? So don't judge me too hard. I've actually never practiced this one or like worked with that many colors in general. I'm not a makeup artist or anything, so I just feel like I have to put that disclaimer out here, and this could turn out really good. I have some faith in my abilities, but you know, we'll see what happens, okay? Alright, so like I said in the beginning, this story takes place during the Great Depression era, which was the 1930s, and 35-year-old Marie Porter, who is the mother of 4 kids, was really struggling to support her family during this time. Although she wasn't struggling quite as much as some people were during this time, apparently she, still had a house, she still had a car to drive, a family car they all shared, and her father also lived with her in the house. So it was her and her husband, and then her 4 kids and her father. So even though Marie and her family weren't the worst off, they still had one problem, and that problem was her father, George. And George was a little bit mentally unstable. They didn't say exactly what he struggled with, but it sounds like he struggled with some type of schizophrenia, maybe, paranoia, something of that sort. So one morning in 1935, George came downstairs. One morning, the family was going to have breakfast and everything, and he was greeted by Marie's husband, William, in the kitchen. And William turns to him to say good morning, and all of a sudden, George just shoots William in the head. Everyone's freaking out. I don't know if the kids were in the house, but I'm sure they heard the gunshot and they were probably freaked out as well. So everybody's, scared. Like, they don't know what the heck her dad's gonna do next. So at this point, I guess Marie just decides, like, the only way I'm gonna get out of this, quick reaction, I'm just gonna run at my dad, and I'm gonna try to get this gun from him. So Marie runs at her dad, and they struggle with the gun, and all of a sudden, the gun goes off, and Marie gets freaked out. I think he shot her in the arm, but it just grazed her arm. Marie runs out of the house, and she's like yelling for help and everything, and her dad shoots her 2 more times, but they turn out to just be surface wounds and nothing terrible ends up happening. So she survives, and they call the police. The police get there, arrest him, and they end up taking him to a mental asylum. Okay, so now her husband is dead. Her father is taken away to this asylum, but there is one good thing that ends up happening among all this tragedy, and that is that Marie gets a check in the mail for $5,000 for her husband's life insurance. So back in the day, I mean, $5,000 is still, a little chunk of money, but back in those days, $5,000 was almost 85,000 in today's money. So if you can imagine getting that kind of money during this depression era and you're struggling to keep food on the table and all of that, like this money was it was like winning the lottery or something, it was crazy. So, this money was able to help Marie do a couple of things. And one of those things was to take in her brother, who was unemployed at the time. And she was also able to open up a business of her own, which was a candy store. And right when I heard them say this, that she used the money to open a candy store, I was like, who in the Great Depression is buying candy with, their last pennies? Like, I think that's a little bit silly of her to spend her money on that, but I just thought that was so weird. It's like she just didn't even think about that when she opened it. So, anyways, after she opens this candy shop, she decides that she needs an employee to help her out and run the shop and all that stuff. So she hires 21-year-old Ralph Giancola to help her out. He's a friend of the family and she can trust him. She feels like, he would be a good help around the shop and all of that stuff. So it doesn't take Marie very long to realize what I kind of said before. People aren't buying this candy that she's selling in her shop, so she's starting to run low on money, and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to afford to keep this place running. What the heck am I going to do? So as Marie's life seems to be kind of crashing down around her, she's losing all these people who are close to her, and she's losing her business and her money. It seems like her brother's life is actually getting better and better, and she starts to resent him. One day he comes into the shop and he tells her, hey sis, I'm engaged and we're gonna get married soon, and I want you to be a part of the wedding and yada yada yada. And I think, deep down, obviously Marie wants to be happy for her brother, it's her brother, but she's struggling so much that she just can't see past that. She's just, totally resentful of his happiness. So Marie asks her brother for money. He seems to be doing well, and she just feels like, can't you help your sister out? Like, I know you're about to get married and everything, and, this woman is someone you need to help support and provide for, but, don't forget about your sister. Don't forget about your flesh and blood here. Like, I need you too. I need your money too, essentially, is what she's saying. So William's kind of like annoyed that she even asks him for money and that she's getting so jealous of his new life and his happiness and all this stuff. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give you any money. Like, I have this wedding to pay for. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to figure this out on your own. You got yourself into this mess. Like, you got to get yourself out, okay? So at this point, I would say Marie is pretty pissed off at her brother. And I think she's just kind of like, F you, basically. So she comes up with a plan. She knows that she is the beneficiary of her brother's life insurance policy, and he has $3,300 in life insurance policies. So, what do you think that means? Well, Marie is thinking this over. She's like, while my brother is alive, he's really, not worth as much money to me as he would be if he was dead. So how can we make this happen? You know, also she knows she has a short timeline to work with because now he's going to be getting married and he is most likely going to be signing over that beneficiary to his new wife. So Marie wouldn't get anything. So at this point, Marie is like, okay, that's that. I am just going to have to kill my brother and, you know, do what I gotta do. So in 1937, on the eve of her brother's wedding, the night before her brother's wedding, she comes up with this plan and she decides that she's gonna need Ralph from the store to help her execute things. They came up with a few ideas. They were either going to drown him, they were going to throw him off a cliff, or they were going to just shoot him and figure out what they were going to do with the body after that. They weren't sure. So at that point, Marie's like, okay, you know what? I know what we're going to do. And she's like, let's go call your brother. Let's have him come with us to take William out for a few drinks, you know, just he needs a last night out before he gets married tomorrow, and we'll just convince him to come with us to this bar. So they go pick up William and they tell him the plan for the night. They're like, come on, dude, let's just go to the bar, have a good time. He's like trying to be all responsible and be like, no, guys, like, I have to get married in the morning. I can't be out drinking all night, okay? I don't know why his voice sounds like that, but that's just what I picture, okay? They end up driving a couple miles out of St. Louis, and they stop on the side of the road, and William's like, what's going on? What are we doing? And all of a sudden, his sister is sitting in the back seat. He's in the passenger seat. She pulls out a gun and just shoots him right there in the car. And I think the other two guys were surprised and they were like, hold up, Marie, you didn't tell us you were going to do that in our car and everything. So not cool. Now we have blood all over everything. Like, you idiot. Okay. So they weren't very happy. But of course, Marie, being the person that she is, she's like, okay, boys, please get out of the car and drag his body over there into that field for me. Thank you. Her little servants get out of the car. They go and take his body over into this field. And they must not have dragged him very far into this field because, well, you'll see why later, but they must not have dragged him very far, okay? They left him basically by the side of the road where people could just see him when they drove by. So the next morning rolls around, and obviously William's bride-to-be is a little freaked out. She's like, I don't know where my fiance is. He hasn't come home, and this is who he was with last night. You know, you might want to ask them if they've seen him or what happened. And so police do. But before they even question anybody, they end up finding his body in a field, in that same field that they dropped him in that night. Which is why I said they must have not really hid his body very well in that field, because it seemed like they just found him so easy. I mean, they must not have been that far out of town. Like, I don't know what these guys were thinking. For real. Like, haven't you ever hit a dead body before? Hello? So once the body is found, they report the news to the family, to Marie, to the future wife of William, and I think her name was Ivy. I keep saying future wife, but I'm pretty sure her name was Ivy. So they tell them, you know, we found his body, he was shot, yada yada. And of course, once the press gets a hold of this, they start spreading their stories around town as well. So that same night, after they find out what happened to William and his body and all that stuff, Marie decides to throw a party. So I guess since the wedding didn't happen, she wanted to use all the supplies and the food and everything they bought and just be able to, have a party with it all. And because, that's what you do usually when your siblings die, especially when they get murdered. It's time for a party. So what an idiot. Who do these people think they are? They must be like the biggest narcissists in the world. They just think that like nobody's gonna catch on to this. Like, that's not weird for me to be throwing a party for my brother or anything. Like, what? I mean, what? I don't know. Obviously, without saying, that looks very suspicious to the police, but instead of going right to Marie and questioning her first, they decide that they're gonna go through her little buddy Ralph and see what they can pull out of him first. So first they search Ralph's car and they find a shell casing in the car. Obviously, these are like the dumbest criminals. If there's a show about that, they should be on that show. And basically they're like, hey Ralph, we found this shell casing in your car, you dummy. Can you explain this? And he's like,
I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before.
While they're questioning Ralph, they just start noticing that he is itching his arm a lot, and this rash starts to, kind of bubble up a little bit, and it's looking real itchy and real red, and they're like, what's going on with your arm, dude? You got a poison ivy or something? Ding, 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 okay? So Ralph, we should just start a counter for how many stupid things these guys did, because Ralph, the idiot that he is, got poison ivy while he was dumping William's body into this field. So I guess when detectives found William's body, they noticed that there was a bunch of poison ivy around there, and they were like, don't you love that sound? And they were like, okay, so whoever did this probably has poison ivy. And what do you know, Ralph has poison ivy. So they are like, dude, we know that you were in this field that night. Like, you might as well just tell us what happened. You have poison ivy. There's poison ivy in the field. There's a shell casing in your car. They later find that he has a shirt on that has a blood stain on it. And they're like, this is just textbook murderer stuff. So obviously it was you. So tell us what happened. And Ralph's like, all right, you caught me. And he just confesses. And he obviously throws Marie under the bus, and he's like, she paid me $800 to kill her brother, and she is the one that shot him, and I was just the one who helped her. So really, she's the one that you're looking for here. So after this confession happens, basically they both end up going to court, him and Marie, Ralph and Marie, and Ralph ends up testifying against Marie in trial. But this doesn't really get him anywhere because, they both plotted this murder together, and, the judge doesn't really feel sorry for Ralph that he got kind of roped into Marie's little plan. In the end of it all, Ralph and Marie both end up being convicted of murder, and they are both sentenced to the electric chair. On January 28th, 1938, they were both put to death in the electric chair, and Ralph went first, and then Marie followed about 10 minutes after. Alright guys, so there you have it, a murder motivated by greed. So much greed that a woman went to the length of killing her own brother, okay? I mean, talk about desperate, okay? That's crazy to me. So that was this week's True Crime Tuesday. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you like this makeup look. I kind of like it, but I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not used to wearing this much makeup, especially on my eyes. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. So that's all I have for you guys today. Please leave a thumbs up if you liked this video. Please comment below and subscribe, of course, and I will be back here next Tuesday with a new true crime story. All right, have a good week, guys. Bye!